Page 1 of The Adventures of Master F.J. by George Gascoigne. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Note: Q1 begins thus. A discourse of the adventures passed by Master F.J. H.W. to the reader. In August last past, my familiar friend Master G.T. bestowed upon me the reading of a written book, wherein he had collected divers discourses and verses, invented upon sundry occasions, by sundry gentlemen, in mine opinion, right commendable for their capacity. And herewithal my said friend charged me, that I should use them only for mine own particular commodity, and eftsoons safely deliver the original copy to him again, wherein I must confesse myself but half a merchant, for the copy unto him I have safely redelivered. But the worke, for I thought it worthy to be published, I have entreated my friend A.B. to imprint, as one that thought better to please a number by common commodity, than to feed the humour of any private person by needless singularity. This I have adventured, for thy contentation, learned reader, and further have presumed of my selfe, to christen it by the name of 100 Sundry Flowers, in which poeticall poesie are set forth many trifling fantasies, humoral passions, and strange affects of a lover, and therein, although the wiser sort would turne over the leaf as a thing altogether fruitlesse, yet I my selfe have reaped this commodity, to sit and smile at the fond devices of such as have enchained themselves in the golden fetters of fantasie, and having bewrayed themselves to the whole world, do yet conjecture that they walk unseen in a net. Some other things you may also find in this book, which are as void of vanity, as the first are lame for government. And I must confesse that, what to laugh at the one, and what to learn by the other, I have contrary to the charge of my said friend G.T. procured for these trifles this day of publication. Whereat if the authors only repine, and the number of other learned minds be thankfull, I may then boast to have gained a bushel of good will, in exchange for 1 pint of peevish choler. But if it fall out contrary to expectation, that the readers judgments agree not with mine opinion in their commendations, I may then, unless their courtesies supply my want of discretion, with losse of some labour, account also the losse of my familiar friends, in doubt whereof I cover all our names, and refer you to the well written letter of my friend G.T. next following, whereby you may more at large consider of these occasions. And so I commend the praise of other mens travails together with the pardon of mine own rashnesse, unto the well willing minds of discreet readers. From my lodging near the Strand, the 20th of January, 1572. H.W. The letter of G.T. to his very friend, H.W. concerning this work. Remembering the late conference passed between us in my lodging, and how you seemed to esteeme some pamphlets which I did then shew unto you far above their worth in skill, I did straightway conclude the same your judgment to proceed of 2 especial causes. One and principal, the steadfast good will, which you have ever hitherto sithens our first familiarity borne towards me. Another, of no lesse weight, the exceeding zeal and favour that you bear to good letters, the which, I agree with you, do not lesse bloom and appear in pleasant ditties or compendious sonnets devised by green youthful capacities, than they do fruitfully flourish unto perfection in the riper works of grave and gray-haired writers. For as in the last, the younger sort may make a mirror of perfect life, so in the first the most frosty bearded philosopher may take just occasion of honest recreation, not altogether without wholesome lessons, tending to the reformation of manners. For who doubteth but that poets in their most feigned fables and imaginations have metaphorically set forth unto us the right rewards of virtues, and the due punishments for vices? Marry, indeed I may not compare pamphlets unto poems, neither yet may justly advant for our native countrymen, that they have in their verses hitherto, translations excepted, delivered unto us any such notable volume, as have been by poets of antiquity left unto the posterity. And the more pity, that amongst so many toward wits, no one hath been hitherto encouraged to follow the trace of that worthy and famous knight, Sir Geoffrey Chaucer, and after many pretty devises spent in youth, for the obtaining a worthless victory, might consume and consummate his age in describing the right pathway to perfect felicity, with the due preservation of the same. The which, although some may judge over grave a subject to be handled in style metrical, yet for that I have found in the verses of eloquent Latinists, learned Greeks, and pleasant Italians, sundry directions whereby a man may be guided toward the attaining of that unspeakable treasure. I have thus far lamented that our countrymen have chosen rather to win a Passover praise by the wanton penning of a few loving lays, than to gain immortal fame by the clerkly handling of so profitable a theme. For if quickness of invention, proper vocables, apt epithets, and store of monosyllables may help a pleasant brain to be crowned with laurel, I doubt not but both our countrymen and country language might be enthronized among the old foreleaders unto the Mount Helicon. But now let me return to my first purpose, for I have wandered somewhat beside the path, and yet not clean out of the way. I have thought good, I say, to present you with this written book, wherein you shall find a number of sonnets, lays, letters, ballads, rondelets, verles, and verses, the works of your friend and mine, Master F.J., and divers others, the which when I had with long travail confusedly gathered together, I thought it then opera pressium to reduce them into some good order, the which I have done according to my barren skill in this written book, commending it unto you to read and to peruse, and desiring you, as I only do adventure thus to participate the sight thereof unto your former good will, even so that you will by no means make the same common, but after your own recreation taken therein, that you will safely redeliver unto me the original copy. For otherwise I shall not only provoke all the authors to be offended with me, but further shall lose the opportunity of a greater matter, half and more granted unto me already, by the willing consent of one of them. And to be plain with you, my friend, he hath written, which as far as I can learn, did never yet come to the reading or perusing of any man but himself, two notable works, the one called The Sundry Lots of Love, the other of his own invention entitled The Climbing of an Eagle's Nest. These things, and especially the latter, doth seem by the name to be a work worthy the reading, and the rather I judge so, because his fantasy is so occupied in the same, as that contrary to his wonted use, he hath hitherto withheld it from sight of any his familiars, until it is finished, you may guess him by his nature. And therefore I require your secrecy herein, lest if he hear the contrary, we shall not be able by any means to procure these others at his hands. So fare you well, from my chamber this 10th of August, 1572. Yours or not his own, G.T. End of note. The pleasant fable of Ferdinando Jeronimi and Leonora de Valesco, translated out of the Italian riding tales of Bartello. In the pleasant country of Lombardy, and not far from the city of Florence, there was dwelling sometimes a lord of many rich seigniories and dominions, who nevertheless bare his name of the Castle of Valesco. This lord had only one son and two daughters. His son was called, during the life of his father, the heir of Valesco, who married a fair gentlewoman of the house of Bellavista named Leonora, the elder daughter of the Lord of Valesco, and called Francesina, a young woman very toward both in capacity and other active qualities. Now the Lord of Valesco having already married his son and heir, and himself drawing in age, was desirous to see his daughters also bestowed before his death, and especially the eldest, who both for beauty and ripeness of age might often put him in remembrance that she was a collop of his own flesh, and therefore sought means to draw unto the house Ferdinando Jeronimi, a young gentleman of Venice, who delighting more in hawking, hunting, and other such pastimes than he did in study, had left his own house in Venice, and was coming into Lombardy to take the pleasures of the country. So that the Lord of Valesco, knowing him to be of a very good parentage, and therewithal not only rich but adorned with sundry good qualities, was desirous, as is said, to draw him home to his house under pretence of hunting and hawking, to the end he might behold his fair daughter Franchishina, who both for parentage and other worldly respects might no less content his mind than her beauty was likely to have allured his liking. But it fell out far contrary to his desire, for Ferdinando Jeronimi, beholding the Lady Leonora, who was indeed very fair, and of a very court-like behaviour, became enamored of her, and forgetting the courtesy that the Lord of Valesco had showed him in entertaining him and his servants with their horses by the space of 4 months, which is a rare courtesy nowadays, and especially in such a country, he sought all means possible to make the heir of Valesco a Becco, and to the end that all men may perceive what fruits grow on such trees, and what issues come of such intents. I will set down in English the fable as it is written in Italian by Bartello, and because I do suppose that Leonora is the same name which we call Eleanor in English, and that Franchishina also doth import none other than Francis, I will so entitle them as to our own countrymen may be most perspicuous. Understand you then, that Ferdinando having now a hot affection unto the said Dame Eleanor, and thinking it meeter to utter his first conceits in writing than in speech, did write unto her as followeth. End of page 1.